Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. Before we start our conversation, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give me a like and a subscribe. Also, if you're listening to on our audio channels, please, I would love a 5-star review and a new subscription. Thank you so much for doing that in advance. I am so excited today because I am talking with one of my favorite rising singer-songwriters. As of this recording, has over 2,000 followers on Twitter and 7.3 thousand Facebook fans. He also has a monthly listeners of 2.6 thousand listeners on Spotify, and he's been featured on Billboard, Earmilk, and The Rolling Stone. He just came out with a phenomenal album called Mayday. So please help me welcome Trapper Schoepp.
Hey man, that was a very numerical introduction.
I have to do what I do. It's been a part of my podcast since the first episode back in 2019.
Well, thanks, man. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's get started. So when you get interested in music, and how did that passion and desire to evolve into the passion and desire to pursue a career in the recording industry?
Well, I herniated a disc in my back BMX bike riding when I was like 15, 16 years old. And my mom said, here, try this. Sign me up for guitar lessons. And I was having fun with the guitar. And I was sitting in my parents' basement watching a movie. And the song Hurricane came on. And that A minor chord in that song by Bob Dylan really took me by surprise and led me down a whole different path of songwriting, music, and just kind of changed the whole direction of my life, I guess.
Awesome. And I call Hurricane one of the longest songs of classic rock, right up there with Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, it holds your attention the whole time. One of the great, I don't know if everyone likes the term story songs, but tells such a compelling story of Reuben Hurricane Carter, the man that was falsely accused of murder.
Absolutely. It's a very powerful song. Alrighty, so let's talk about some music heroes. So who are your musical heroes and how do they influence your sound?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many, right? I mean, yesterday it could have been Joni Mitchell's Blue. The day before could have been, Tom Waits' Closing Time. Right now I'm looking at records by Joan Baez and Elton John. So, I mean, it changes all the time. But Dylan, of course, is a touchstone. Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen. And then more modern stuff. I think Jenny Lewis is one of the great songwriters of our time. And guys like Charlie Parr from Minneapolis. I mean, I think he is one of the best guitar players in the game today. So it really ranges all over. I mean, I love jazz. I love hip hop too. I like listening to classical music, ambient music. Brian Eno, his album Music for Airports is one of my favorite records. A great album to sleep to, actually. So, yeah, I'm kind of all over the map, but I think I covered some of my heroes there.
Awesome. And speaking of Joni Mitchell, I just want to bring up, as we're recording this podcast, it was just announced that the Kennedy Center Honors has announced that she will be joining Bette Midler and Lorne Michaels and Motown's own legendary Berry Gordy as part of the next chapter of the Kennedy City Honors. So I wanted to make congratulations to all four of them.
Nice. She's a legend.
Absolutely. They're all legends. So I want to talk to you about the COVID-19 pandemic. So we know that shut down the entertainment industry and also with the recording industry. So how did you overcome that obstacle?
Well, I don't want to get out the violin, the fiddle, and cry or anything, because everyone's life was radically changed. And I didn't have any personal loss close to me. And this thing is not over by any regards. But what we did to transition was we started doing some shows online, public ones, and then the ones that were really entertaining were the Zoom shows where, the private Zoom shows where people would get a couple drinks in them, loosen up a bit. And it just kind of was a really great way to connect with people on a personal level and kind of share stories behind the songs and all that. And so, of course, there's kind of a nice online community that comes out of that sort of thing. And then we also use the time to finish writing and recording the album Mayday. And it was a bit of an interesting writing process with my band. They live in Chicago and I'm here in Milwaukee. And so what we did was send demos back and forth. So I would send acoustic guitar and vocal to my drummer, and then he would send it back to me, and then I'd send it to my guitar player, and then my brother would add vocals. And so it was all kind of a piece by piece situation, which I think allowed us to kind of take our time and not rush the process in any way. So that was an interesting way to spend our time for sure. So, we had a European tour canceled and, hoping to get back there later next year or the year after that, whenever it's safe again. But yeah, I made it through, and, it's such a wild experience to be a human being on planet Earth right now. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. I gotta say, Mayday is a phenomenal record. It is a phenomenal record, and I loved every single minute of it. I love to learn some of the stories behind some of the album songs, because let's start with, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so let's call River Called Disaster. I really love it. It was a very great song.
Yeah, well, that was probably the first song I wrote on the album using a piano, and the first song I've played piano on an album. And it's just a minor keyed blues sort of song, and revolving around the river as imagery. The rivers and bodies of water have been used in blues and roots and traditional music to communicate all sorts of messages. But I think using it in this song is sort of a force that keeps moving on, keeps flowing, despite what happens, what occurs. So I think that was sort of the inspiration there, using it in that way, like an old blues song.
Awesome. Yellow Moon was a wonderful track as well.
Thank you. And that's another one that's sort of connected to the idea of nature and how it sort of unites us all. And I think it was particularly relevant in the pandemic when, we're all feeling a sense of isolation and loneliness. And that song is sort of inspired by, it's like a seasick acoustic guitar sort of song, Lost at Sea ballad, I guess you could say. But we had a lot of fun recording that one with all these different keyboards and mellotron sounds, acoustic guitars. So that's a bit on that one.
I would like to, because we talked about quarantine and the pandemic, solo quarantine is just, I wanted to jump to that song.
Oh yeah. So that's another one that I played the piano on. But I was driving in my car, and I heard on NPR this story of this phenomenon in the pandemic of exes kind of like reaching back out to their long lost lovers during the pandemic as like a way to sort of find comfort and find a friend. And I found it to be, particularly tragic considering the circumstances, a bit desperate, but also kind of humorous, that kind of thing has been happening. And I wrote this song inspired by a fictional couple that met attending college in Ohio, and the guy's kind of over-talking, oversharing about his experience and not leaving much room for conversation with the woman in the story, which I think is pretty commonplace. But yeah, that's what that song's inspired by, the kind of the isolation as well, and the quarantine state of the world.
I totally agree, but however, I cannot get the chorus of little drop, little drop, little drop of medicine. It's perfect. It reminds me so much of the Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard song, like of the classic rock piano.
Oh, nice. Like Great Balls of Fire or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, all that old 50s music is such a inspiration to me, and Jerry Lee Lewis in particular. I lit a piano on fire in a river for the River Called Disaster music video. And that,
wow.
That ended up being pretty interesting. We drug an old spinet piano into a river, and I thought, well, it's a bit on the nose, River Called Disaster. But we got the piano in the river, and I thought, well, why not light it on fire as well?
Oh,
we had some lighter fluid around, and it was so funny. The piano is in the river. We got it in the river. We got the piano on fire in the river, and the drone also went in the river. And like a minute after we started filming me playing the piano on fire in the river, and piano lit on fire, drone is in the river, and it was one of those
comedy of error stories,
to say the very least. But my buddy Mitch was there, and he, one of our other buddies that was on site, had a newer phone, and so he picked it up and kind of cobbled a bunch of shots together, and so half of the video shot on a drone, and then half of it's on a phone. So.
That's a perfect combination. I hope that you're safe, and I hope that the Milwaukee fire department was not happy with you.
Yes, yeah, it was okay. We cleaned it all up just fine.
Awesome. While we're talking on the subject of music videos, as of this recording, the Rolling Stone France actually premiered your Paris Syndrome music video, and it reminded me so much of Paris before the Great Depression and before the World Wars.
Yeah, so I think using that kind of footage and look from a bygone era was important to me, because I think, for one, I don't know if nostalgic imagery is always the best, but I think right now, considering everything we're going to, just kind of looking backwards, and, history does repeat itself. We had the Spanish flu and the roaring 20s and all that. And I don't want to say that, that's exactly a parallel to what we're going through now. But I do think it was interesting to me to use some of that vintage imagery as a way of kind of looking back, and it felt, in a sense, a bit hopeful to me. And that's why we used footage from, or not footage, but an image from the, Washington Monument lawn there, the lawn in front of it, for the album cover as well. These people together dancing. And I think now more than ever, people want to see people, whether that's in real life or on a TV screen, computer screen. So that was kind of sort of the inspiration there.
It sounds like a really good idea, and I definitely think that music historians would be very happy with that.
Yeah, well, who knows?
I know. So I'm glad about that video. It was great. I'm so happy that the Rolling Stone of France premiered it, because that's a pretty big deal. Anything related to Rolling Stone is a pretty big deal in the industry still.
Right on.
Alrighty, so we got to talk about your collaborators. So who are your dream collaborators, singers, songwriters, musicians, producers that are on your wish list, and how would they enhance your sound, Trapper?
Well, I mean, I did already publish and co-write a song with Bob Dylan, Jake. So I think I'm pretty good there. But yeah, when Bob Dylan was 20 years old, he wrote a song about Wisconsin. And 57 years later, I saw this article on Rolling Stone that said, $30,000 sheet of lost lyrics about the state of Wisconsin by Bob Dylan up for auction. And I finished the song and I put it out there on the World Wide Web, and Billboard took notice. National Public Radio took notice. Bob Dylan's lawyers then took notice.
Oh no!
No, it was good though. We eventually published the song together, and for me to get to publish a song with, someone that I look up to so much, Bob Dylan, and have it be about the state of Wisconsin, where I'm from, is sort of the icing on the cake. So, yeah, in terms of cool people to collaborate with, he's a big one.
I gotta say, not a lot of our generation gets to say that they have collaborated with an icon, a true music legend. So having you with a co-write with your name, with Bob Dylan's name next to attach it, and performing together, that must have been, oh my God, a career-defining moment for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't perform on it. He just wrote it, and I added music and lyrics to it. But yeah, I mean, the thrill of a lifetime. I mean, if you'd have told the kid seeing, Bob Dylan playing a baseball field when I was, 16 years old, that one day you're going to share a co-writing credit with him and it be about your home state, I think, I would have completely lost it. But yeah, it was wildly serendipitous, and I'm really grateful for him and his team for hearing out the song and getting with it.
Wonderful. So on September 10th, 2021, you'll be opening up for Wilco at Summerfest, if conditions are good. So what does it mean to be performing in front of your hometown and one of the country's top music festivals?
Oh, well, Summerfest is always a treat. It's a great gig on the Great Lake. I always enjoy Summerfest, and Wilco is another one of those bands that, I feel really defined the music they call Americana, alt country or y'all country or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, of course, Wilco. I mean, they're so lovable and fun. The live show and their records, I have them all. So we were able to work with Pat Sansone from that band on my last record, Primetime Illusion. So it will be good to see him and, hopefully see some folks in Milwaukee that I know as well.
Awesome, Trevor. We got to start winding down our conversation. So what are some of your favorite social media platforms?
Oh man, they're all so terrible, Jake. Come on. They're all
I'm sorry.
They're all I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of them are unfortunately spreading some false propaganda these days and should be in hot water. Can I say Words with Friends? I feel like that's a pretty innocent platform. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to play Words with Friends yet.
Well, come on, get on there. I'll take you on, Jake.
Alrighty, I'll consider it, Trapper. So, alrighty. So, if you had the opportunity to meet with some rising musicians, singer-songwriters that are looking to take the next level into their career, what advice would you share with them?
What advice would I give them? Buckle up. It's gonna be a wild ride. No matter how you approach your career, it's gonna be chaos. Hopefully organized chaos, and you're hopefully got to be okay with that. But yeah, everyone's path is so radically different. It's hard to give sort of a one size fits all sort of advice to anyone. But yeah, just follow your nose.
All right, Trapper, this is the most important question. Where can my audience download your music or get your music or connect with you?
Well, I suppose a local record shop is always the recommendation, right? After that, you can go to my website, which is just www.trapperschoepp.com, and all the links to all the different social media and streaming platforms are there. Or you can come find me in the wild. I'm hopefully going to be starting to tour again more later this year, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out there.
Awesome, Trapper. If you ever come to Kansas City, please let me know.
We do, yeah. I forget the little bar we play in Kansas City, but yeah, it's kind of a hip and happening city there.
Absolutely it is. I'm so glad to be back home. Alrighty, guys. If you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, head to our channels on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker. So just type in Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Once again, JACOBELYACHAR. Are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Trapper, it's Jake's Take's 10th anniversary. So my brand's been celebrating 1 decade.
Happy 10, my friend. Go Chiefs.
Thank you so much, Trapper. So if you want more interviews and articles and reviews, head to jakes-take.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. Now, if you're financially able to, please consider heading to my PayPal channel to help keep jakes-take.com, my platform, up and running. I am the only one that arranges the interviews, writes the questions, writes the interviews, edits the video and audio interviews that you hear. If you're financially able to, that's great. If not, I would love a like and a follow on social media or a subscription to my podcast. It's free, so anyway, Trapper, thank you so much for an incredible conversation.
Awesome, man. We'll see you soon.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody.